Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about primetime matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to Mavs Moneyball Minute. You are joining me on Monday, June 20th. Thank you for spending part of your day with me, and I just need to get out in front and apologize right now because over the last 2 weeks, I have not been as consistent in posting as I would have liked to have been. Frankly, I put off a lot over the last 2 months with my real job, and there is a looming work project which is just killing my time and my brain space, and so I get to the end of the day and I'm just not as Mavs focused as I would like to be. That said, there's been a lot of stuff that's actually happened the last probably 3 to 4 days that was worth hopping on and talking about with you guys. First and foremost, this was a fun piece. ESPN rated the Mavericks as 5th in their really early 22-23 power rankings. And the reason why we had Jordan Brodess wrote about this, I really got a kick out of it because the Mavericks are, they're punching above their weight. They're currently plus 1,600 to win the title next year, which that's a fun bet to get in on if that's something you're interested in. But it's a nice way to sort of lead this show because right now I think everyone is quite reasonably feeling bullish about Dallas. Not only because of the Christian Wood trade, but just because of where the Mavericks finished, there were a few things that had they swung differently, maybe the Mavericks could have gone to the NBA Finals. The Warriors, losing to the Warriors is one thing because they ended up winning, and Dallas just should feel really good about where they ended up. So click on that piece. It's in the show notes, and as are all of the things I'm going to be talking about. The next thing I wanted to point you to was an aggregation by Doyle Rader. Quinton Crawford is leaving the Lakers to join the Mavericks as an assistant coach. Quinton Crawford is a young man. He's just 31, and he's going to be filling the bench spot. And according to Marc Stein, Greg St. John? Man, I don't want to mess that up. Someone will correct me, I'm sure, and sending me notes. Is moving up to the spot that Igor Kokoskov has vacated. And again, that is according to Marc Stein. Crawford's playing career was a little bit short. He briefly worked at my alma mater in Pepperdine University. He was a graduate assistant manager and he was a video coordinator there for a couple of years. And then he was with the Sacramento Kings for a season. Then he worked with the Magic. I mean, I don't want to say it's an interesting hire, but I will say I do like coaches that I've not heard of moving up the ranks, because there's like such an easy ability to want to and sorry, that's my ice machine in the background if that's picking up. There's such a tendency among NBA teams to only want to hire names. And so far, I want to say Jason Kidd's coaching staff has been a healthy mix of people that I've heard of and people that I haven't, and I think that's pretty fun. Then on top of that news, Marc Stein also reported that the Mavericks could pursue Goran Dragic this summer. Dragic has basically become the Mavericks' white whale. It's getting a little annoying, if I'm honest. He was first linked to the Mavericks as recently as 2019, or I'm sorry, as far back as 2019 on a draft day trade that fell through. And he's currently, a free agent, and it's going to be very interesting to see what sort of role he wants or expects. I do think that the Mavericks have minutes for him, despite, kind of the notion that his best role might be as a bit of a Luka thermometer of sorts, of a person who can be, the JJ Barea role from 2 years ago. That could be very beneficial. But Goran can still play, and anybody that says otherwise, just isn't remembering the fact that he was probably the best player on the Miami Heat team that got all the way to the finals in the bubble. I mean, that's, 2 years ago now, but nothing has happened to him. He's playing with the Slovenian national team this summer. We're going to get to see him both, I think, in the qualifiers, and I'm almost assuredly at Eurobasket, where he was talked into rejoining the team. His brother is on the team. Doncic is on the team. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So it's going to be, I think Mavs fans are sort of sick of this as a concept because his name is constantly linked. But I still think he can bring something on the floor and not just as kind of a link between the coaching staff and such. Then the next piece was, from our longtime writer. He's sort of semi-retired, Sam. His name's Sam, and he wrote a wonderful piece on reminiscing on Boban Marjanovic's best moments. And, Boban takes a lot of grief from hardcore Mavs fans. More casual Mavs fans love Boban. They just love him to the point where they're, chanting for him in the games. And he got to be a little bit more of a mascot than I think anybody would have liked. But Boban is a top-tier human, let alone unbelievable teammate. He finished, I want to say, second in like the all-teammate voting, whatever that award was. And so, the Mavericks are going to miss him. And Sam put together this really fun piece about, his time in Dallas. And, I was fine to see Boban leave as part of that trade, and then I was editing this piece, and it's just like, dang, Boban was a lot of fun. And I think the Mavericks are going to miss him in some specific ways, well past just he and Luka's friendship. Then our kind of draft guy, Lucas Skew, wrote an ode to the 22 Dallas Mavericks first-round draft pick. And I don't want to spoil it because it's short and it's really funny. But, he had written all this stuff for the draft. Our guys love talking about the draft. Just honestly, as a content creation website, draft picks are so much more fun for us because it means we can talk about players and talk about situations that may never come to pass. But it's the time of year where you're dreaming, and it's nice. And when the draft pick goes away, you don't really get to talk about any of that. And so he wrote, he had written probably a solid 4,000 words on draft stuff up until now, and now it's already moot. I really appreciated this piece. Speaking of that, following the, Spotify Live that Josh Bowe and I did, where Marc Stein joined, Kevin O'Connor joined, and if you're listening to this podcast and you're this far through it, you have heard that show. If you haven't, go listen. It is our most downloaded show, and it's not close. It beat the Game 7 Suns Spotify Live, which was our current record holder, and then beat the Mark Cuban interview, which was really, I just didn't expect that to actually happen. But Josh Bowe, later that night, after sitting on a 2.5-hour green room, wrote a piece where he does a deep analysis of the Christian Wood experience that we can expect. And there's a lot of this going on online where people are really projecting forward. I see both the positives and the negatives of that. It's mid-June, so I think everyone needs to take a break, but I still like what Josh did here. It's a lot of fun. And then the last piece I wanted to point you to was it's such a niche internet piece. It's called A Dispatch from the Dallas Mavericks offseason. We had our guy Matt put together a Luka Doncic Photoshop of him sort of looking like a Civil War general. Ben Zadell wrote a piece from the perspective of Luka Doncic as like a Civil War type general, and I've just died laughing. I have read it repeatedly, and it's funnier every time because it's just got a lot of like really specific Mavs social media fights, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's where we are. All these things, again, are linked in the show notes. I really recommend you give it a read. If click through and give us some feedback on what you think. Keep sending me things, guys. I really appreciate it. There's some of you who are really dedicated linkers. I apologize if I don't respond to you, but I check my DMs regularly. And there's one guy who sends me like YouTube stuff, for example, probably every 2 days. I just don't spend a lot of time on YouTube. It's outside of my personal media consumption, so I love this sort of stuff. I really appreciate it. I don't know what else is coming this week. We're finishing up our player reviews. Finally, we got away with that a little bit, so I'm sure Ben and I will talk about this at some point. Free agency is inching super duper close, so we're probably going to have to start churning out some of that content. And there's probably more to talk about. The draft is on Thursday, and I think that we're all hopeful the Mavericks could trade into the second round, but that seems like a kind of a hope without basis. I'm sure we'll write about it just because that's the fun part. But keep coming to MavsMoneyball.com. I appreciate all of you who listen and all of you who provide feedback. It is very, very valuable to me. I love the community that we have here. It's a big part of my life, and I just want to say thank you. The last several weeks have been amazing, including we had 1,400 people on that live show the other day. That's crazy. All right, this has been Kirk Henderson of MavsMoneyball.com. Please check us out throughout the week. I don't know when I'll be back. I'm trying to only do these when I have sufficient news to talk about, so I might be back like Wednesday and Friday, that sort of thing. So we'll see. Everybody be good. We will talk soon. Everyone have a great week.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.